Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Wamalak Yavashai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach Wamalak Yavashai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, married and unmarried, and those that tend upon the Lord without distraction. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the ancient men, the children, and the rest of the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom, last but not least, to everybody tuning in live on this beautiful first day of the Feast of Dedication. T. Sellers, Don Israel, HBK, DP, Inan Shar, Shalom King, Passport Hebrew, Taylor B, Chanika Jenkins, Yafei Israel, Yolanda Caesar, Joshua Brewer, Shalom King, Princess to a King, Emily Jones, Carl Yassarak 428, Divinely Fashion, Sneaker Kason, Ancients New, Why Don't We, Nashon 144, K Paradise, Tamaria Bani Asha'Allah, Lenore, and everybody else tuning in and will tune in, Lord willing. It's a beautiful time of the year, right? It's a beautiful time of the year, one of the top high holy days for us as a people. While the world is Christmas shopping, while the world is vomiting up turkey and Thanksgiving and coming off of an all-time day of wickedness and leading up into days like Kwanzaa, leading up into the days like Sinmas, leading up into the so-called New Year's day, while the world is on edge of wickedness and deceit and folly and vanity, Yahweh Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushai has given us a light in a dark place. He has given us a time of our own gathering, a time of our own mirth, a time of our own remembrance, and a day strictly dedicated to us to remember Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai in the spirit that he put in our forefathers about 2,000 years ago or so, man, a little over 2,000 years ago, dealing with the Maccabees, Mattathias, Judas, Simon, Jonathan, their brethren, and the men that labored and risked their lives to restore the temple, dedicate the temple, cleanse the altar, remove the heathen through death and killing them, right? And restoring the kingdom through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai. This is one of the top high holy days that Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai has given us, right? And everybody should be keeping, every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man should be keeping a feast of dedication, It's the 25th day of the 9th month of Caslu, and it is a day of remembrance and a day of mirth and gladness that Yahweh Yahushai has given us, And we're going to go into the feast of dedication. This is a beautiful time to be remembered through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai, right? There's no greater time than now. Right, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32. Right, and everybody, Salaki, I put 23. Everybody should be in the spirit of the feast of dedication. The menorah is lit in the background. The frankincense and myrrh is going, brothers are eating and drinking in mirth and gladness. Right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 32, right, and verse 7. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. So we have to remember the ancient days, right? We have to remember the days of old, the days of Noah, the days of Abraham, days of Isaac, the days of Jacob, and their travails and their pilgrimage, and the faith that they had, We have to remember the days of Ezra, the days of Nehemiah, David, and we can go on and on. A lot of time, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, you want to remember wickedness, You want to remember Christmas, the last Thursday of every so-called November, July 4th, Columbus Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day. Don't remember it's Labor Day. Oh, it's Memorial Day. You remember all these days that have nothing to do with you, A lot of times these days that you celebrate, you was in slavery, And they have nothing to do with you and your God. So you're commanded to remember the days of old, man. The feast of dedication is a day that or 8 days, rather that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the creator of heaven and earth, has given us, man. So don't let this day slip, man. Every brother should have been essentially, for lack of better terms, marking their calendar down, man, to prep for this feast day, man. Right? Let's go to Job chapter 8. Actually, let's go to Psalms. Let's get the classic. Let's lock your Psalms. And we're going to go into the feast of dedication. We're going to go into the breakdown, the history, and dive into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. These are things our children should be knowing. Your sons, your daughters, man. These are things our fathers and our mothers should have taught us, man. So take advantage of the knowledge that the Most High has given you, man. Right? Only a few people. It's a remnant. Only 1/3 is going to get it. The Lord said, before I get that, let me get Matthew 13. See, the Most High said, blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear, man. Right? This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 13, and I'll start at 15. Right? It reads, for this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I shall heal them. So the Most High is saying that he has to blind a particular amount of Israelites. Right? He has to shut their eyes and shut their ears, meaning there are certain people, they're just not going to get it. They could be in your family. They could be co-workers, right? It could be anybody, man. You know, a close friend, a distant relative. If the Most High shut them up, he shut them up. And why doesn't the Most High want everybody to get the truth? It tells you. Lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears and should understand with their heart and should be converted, and I should heal them. So the Most High is telling you, he has to blind them, because if he doesn't blind them, they're going to finally see the truth. They're going to finally understand the breakdowns. They're going to finally repent. Then the Most High has to be obliged to heal them. But guess what? The Most High don't want to heal them. That's why he has to blind them. He blinded them on purpose so he doesn't heal them, so they can be destroyed, man. Now you can say, well, that's harsh. Well, that's mean. Well, the Most High has a remnant. There's always a remnant. Only 8 souls survived the flood. There's always a remnant. How many people came out of Egypt that first came out too? Joshua and Caleb, man. There's always a remnant. Read the book of Gideon. There's always a remnant. We're part of that remnant right now. Verse 16, but Matthew 13 and 16, but blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. So you're blessed right now, man, because you actually understand this truth. You're actually keeping the Feast of Dedication. Who would have known there was a day in the month of December strictly dedicated to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man? And it wasn't Christmas. Had nothing to do with a tree, nothing to do with gifts, nothing to do with Santa. And the damn is not Kwanzaa. Because a lot of Jake say, okay, well, look, Christmas may not be for us. Okay, but we got Kwanzaa. The hell with Kwanzaa, man. The Most High didn't give you Kwanzaa. Some makeshift quasi damn day, man. You are blessed to know that it is the Feast of Dedication. That the day, and Amalek is trying to keep this day, man, with their wicked 9 candlesticks. You actually have the 7 golden candlesticks. You have Yahweh Yahushua. So why not remember this day? Why not get into it? Have that zeal. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which they see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which they hear, and have not heard them. Many men, many prophets, righteous men wanted to see the last days. Even the apostles in Acts chapter 1, they said, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Jerusalem? Even Ezra, in Ezra, the 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, he asked the Most High, when shall be the parting asunder of times, and the beginning of it that followeth? The apostles asked Yahushua, what is the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? All of our forefathers wanted to be in this time right now. They want to be in the shoes you in, man. Now, if you understand regeneration, a lot of them are back on the earth anyway. Nevertheless, you're hearing the words of the Most High, and you understand them. We have to remember, this is a time to be remembered, man. Remember, Esau wants you to take damn 18 years of your life and shove all of his history in you, man. Like I said, I remember in so-called school, we had to learn about the Greek gods. I don't even know if they teach that anymore, but that was mandatory. You had to take a test. Okay, here, who's Zeus? Okay, who's Hermes? And if you study him, who the hell is Hermes? And if you get it wrong, they'll hold you back, man, until you master their gods, until you master their presidents and their wicked leaders, man. And you have a book called First Kings, Second Kings, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, man. We have these things given to us by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Right, let's go to Psalms. Let's go to Psalms chapter 77. Right, Psalm 77:5. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. Because a lot of Jakes, you just want to remember the civil rights movement. That's how far you really want to go back. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. You might go back to Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth. You might go back to Harriet Tubman. It's not ancient times, man. It's less than a little over 100, 200 years old, man. Ancient times is the time of Noah. Ancient times is what, 1000 BC, when David was on the earth. 970 so BC, man, when Solomon was on the earth. 165 BC or so, the time of the Maccabees. Right? These are the days that you want to remember. These are ancient times. Right? You have to consider these times, meaning dwell on them. Think about it through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Right? It reads, I call to remembrance my song in the night. Right? What is your song in the night? There's truth. Right? It's not an actual song that was stuck in your head on the radio. I commune with my own heart, and my spirit made diligent search. Right? And my spirit made diligent search. So your spirit has to meditate and search out these matters. Think about our fathers, the spirit the Most High gave them, the faith they had, the integrity, the virtue. You have to make diligent search when it comes to your history, man. Esau make you write research papers, essays, all types of wickedness, man. You have to have a righteous spirit to search out diligently. Okay, who are the Maccabees? Let me read First Maccabees. Let me read Second Maccabees. Okay, what is the menorah about? Okay, who is this guy? Okay, the Hasmoneans. Okay, Simon and John Hyrcanus and the Herodians. And you have to make diligent search because that's your history that was stolen from you, and Yahweh Shah has given it back, right? And he has given it back. Psalm 77 and verse 8. It's like in verse 7. Will the Lord cast off forever? And will he be favorable no more? Yeah, a lot of times when you're in the lower state, you begin to doubt. And a lot of our righteous forefathers, they had this thought. Remember, even Elijah, he wished for death, man. He said, it is enough. Kill me. I am no better than my fathers, paraphrasing. Tobit, he asked the Lord to cut him down. Jonah, he prayed that the Lord take his life away. John the Baptist, he was in prison and asked, told the men, art thou he that should come, or should we look for another? Well, he was in prison, man. A lot of our righteous forefathers, even David, when you read Psalm 73, he said, so foolish was I, and ignorant, I was as a beast before thee. Right? So will the Lord cast off forever? Will he be favorable no more? Right? It's his mercy clean going forever. Doth this promise fail forevermore? Yeah, you may see oppression, violence, robbery. You got to work. You got bills. You got stress. You got health issues. You got depression, anxiety, anger, all types of spirits you're dealing with, man. You may think, damn, man, where's the Most High at? What are these promises? I'm reading Jeremiah. I'm reading Isaiah. I'm reading Genesis. I'm reading these accounts. Where are these promises that the Most High gave us, man? Are they here? Is the Most High, is he watching what's going on? When are we going to be out of here? Right? Verse 9. Hath the Most High forgotten to be gracious? Hath he in anger shut up his tender mercies, Salah? Here's the point. And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of Yahweh. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. So why do you have to remember the years of the right hand of the Most High? Because if you don't, you're never going to have any faith. You're never going to have any hope. There's something called the expectation, right? Now, if you don't have any expectation or any hope, you're not going to survive in this truth. If you don't remember the years of the right hand of the Most High, your faith is going to be diminished. Now, you may say, well, what are the years of the right hand of the Most High? The years of the right hand of the Most High is just another way of saying the times when Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, showed his strength and delivered Israel. Your right hand is your power and your strength. What are some of the years of the right hand of the Most High? The time that the Most High killed all of the firstborn of Egyptians, man and beast, and delivered us with a high hand. Because you may be stressed and worried, man, how am I going to get out of here? And the Most High deliver me. I'm dealing with this. And if you don't remember the times that the Most High performed miracles and did wondrous works, then how are you ever going to survive, man? Because your hope is not going to be found. You got to think, man, I don't know how I'm going to overcome this. I don't know how I'm going to deal. And the Most High parted the Red Sea. The Most High slew Goliath. The Lord used the Maccabees, man, to kill the so-called white man. These are the years of the right hand of the Most High. Whenever you're doubting, whenever you're at your wit's end, whenever you don't know what's going on and there's no hope and you don't know how you're going to make ends meet or make bills get paid, or you know if your health is ever going to be the same, or you will have to shut all them wicked thoughts down and remember the years of the right hand of the Most High. That's where reading comes in. Meditating and making diligent search. Really thinking about all of the righteous works of the Most High. Think about it, man. How the Lord delivered us during the time of Joshua. How the Most High sent the one angel in the time of Hezekiah and killed 185,000 Assyrians, man. One angel. These are the years of the right hand of the Most High. Remember these times, man. And it builds up your hope because now you know any obstacle or anything that you're encountering, the Most High will deliver you. But if you don't remember the years of the right hand of the Most High, you're going to doubt. And once you doubt, you're going to sink. And once you sink, you might drown. Right? Verse 11 again. Let's read that again. It reads, I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. And we're going to talk about the Most High wonders of old, man. And you got to talk about it. I'll tell you that in the next verse. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of all thy doings. And you got to talk about the Most High. A lot of people, you talk about sports all day. What this woman is doing. What this brother's doing. Right? What this celebrity is doing. What this rapper is doing. What this podcast is about. Right? What this fashion designer said. What your supervisor at your job said. What the news anchor said. You're always talking about stuff, but you're not talking about the doings of the Most High. And the Lord sees that. It's the Feast of Dedication. You should be talking about, man, remember the time, man, Judas, he put on his breastplate like a lion and he destroyed the heathen and took Apollonius' sword. You got to get into it. Man, I'm reading this account with Simon, and Simon built this monument and he did this, and he was a priest and he was a captain and he was a king and he was a governor. Mattathias and Eleazar and the 7 brethren and their mother talk of these things, man. You're commanded to talk of the work of the Most High. That's why we have to do lessons. We have to talk about it. Esau not going to talk about it. The Moabites ain't going to talk about it. Ain't nobody else going to talk about it. This is probably the most suppressed and concealed history in the earth. And I'm not just talking about our history as a whole. I'm talking about strictly even in modern day academia, even in top Ivy League schools, even in the top curriculums. They're not talking about the Hasmonean dynasty. And if they are, they're not saying it was a bunch of so-called black men that did it. So we got to talk about it. We got to put it on the forefront. We got to become the professors. We got to be the doctors as we are, man, and the lawyers and the teachers and the scholars, because nobody else is going to do it. Right? Let's read verse 13. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great as the Most High? Slakia. Who is so great a God as our God? Yeah, you name one of them. You name one of these so-called gods. You call upon them and see what happens. You call upon your so-called God, we're going to call upon the Most High. Let's see what happens. We challenge anybody. Anybody. Any Muslim, any Hindu, any Sikh, any damn Christian, any person into Taoism, Nuwapianism, Egyptology, call on Ra. Call on your gods, man. Tell me something that these so-called, what did Allah do for you, man? Tell me the great things Allah has done for the so-called black man. Tell me the great things Zeus has done. Tell me the great things Brahma has done. Shiva, white Jesus. Name one. If you can name one thing, I'll rip my garment right now and blow the menorah out. I will rip my garment and pluck my beard out right now if you can name one great thing that these so-called gods have done, man. Well, first of all, they're not God, so they can't do a damn thing, man. There's no God like Yahweh, Ba'ashima Mashiach wa Malak Yahushai, man. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, right? That challenge is on the table. You call upon your God, or you name your so-called God, and we'll call upon Yahweh Ba'ashima Yahushai, man. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happened. See what happened during the time of Elijah. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Shema Yasha'Allah, Yahweh Allahaya Nawa Yahweh Akkad. Shema Yasha'Allah, Yahweh Allahaya Nawa Yahweh Akkad. Let's go into the time of the Maccabees. Right, let's dive right into it. Let's go to First Maccabees, the first chapter. Let's talk about the days of old. Let's talk about the time of our fathers, man. And the times of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai that he has done in the ancient times. Right? First Maccabees chapter 1 and 1. It reads, and it happened. After that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead first over Greece. And again, a lot of times there's a major missing link when you get when these Christians talk about the Gentiles or they talk about the Greeks. When you read Galatians, you read Romans, right? You read Romans the second chapter, Galatians the third chapter. A lot of these Colossians, right? A lot of these epistles speak about the Greeks. Now, you have to ask yourself, if during the time of Yahushua and the apostles was the time of the Romans, why is there talk about the Greeks? You don't read about the Greeks during the time of the Old Testament. Daniel prophesied of 4 major kingdoms. He prophesied of the Neo-Babylonian Empire that reigned from 626 to 539 BC. He prophesied of the Medo-Persian Empire that reigned around what, 550 BC? Some scholars would say 552. We chalk it up to 550 to 331 BC. He prophesied of a third empire, the Greek Empire, around 332 BC or so to around 146 BC. And he prophesied of the Romans. The Roman Empire began in 27 BC, right? Now they've been they were the republic and the kingdom, but they began an empire in 27 BC, right? So out of all 4 of these kingdoms, why in the time of the Old Testament do you only read about the Babylonians and the Persians and Medes. Then in the New Testament, it jumps to the Romans. But what happened to the Greeks? Well, the Greek history is explicitly found in 1st and 2nd Maccabees. Let's go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, and Daniel, the 8th chapter, right? This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 2. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon a great sea. Now, the great sea is the so-called Mediterranean Sea. Now, the sea is about to give birth to these nations because the sea represents all of the people. And now that all of the people are going to come out four major kingdoms, right? And they're likened unto four actual creatures. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. That's the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right. And we go over this all the time. So I'm not going to go extremely in depth into each beast. They reigned from 626 to 539 BC. They started with Nebuchadnezzar, and their last kings was Nabonidus and Belshazzar. They fell at the battle of Opis in 539 BC by Cyrus the Great. Right? It reads, I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Because it really was the Neo-Babylonian Empire, but the Assyrians fell, right? And once they fell, around 612, 609 BC or so, the Babylonians took complete charge. That's what it means. It stood up on his feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. That's speaking about the rulership of Nebuchadnezzar II, right? And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said, thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. This is the Medo-Persian Empire. It raised up itself on one side because the Persians took down the Medes, right? Around what scholars are called the Battle of Akhtibon, took down Astyages. Cyrus the Great was his actual grandson, if I'm not mistaken. And they took down the Medes around 550 BC. And the three ribs they took down were the Lydians, the Babylonians, and the Egyptians. The Lydians were taken down, and the Battle of Croesus, or the siege of King Croesus, was taken down at the Battle of Thymbra, chiefly the siege of Sardis. That's one of the ribs. See, these three ribs are three different kingdoms. The second rib was the Babylonians. They were taken down in 539 BC at the Battle of Opis. And your third rib are the Egyptians. Cambyses II himself led a military campaign against, I believe that's Pharaoh Satmuk III at the Battle of Pelusium in 525 BC. All right. So those are the three ribs taken down by the Persians, and the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said, thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh, because the Persians took down many kingdoms, many beasts. Here's the point. And you read about these two beasts in the Old Testament. You read about the Babylonians and you read about the Persians. But then there's another beast. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast also had four heads, and dominion was given to it. Now this beast is the Greeks. Now, why don't you read about the Greeks in the Old Testament? Or this leopard? Why don't you read about them in the New Testament? Because it's in the time of Maccabees. So if you have your regular KJV Bible, you know, you're missing 1st and 2nd Maccabees. You're missing an integral part of the history of the world and the children of Israel. And it answers many questions on why the Greek terminology and influence and a Hellenistic culture is so prevalent during the time of the apostles. Because the Greeks came into power, conquered the whole world, and forced their entire culture, thinking, music, dress, sports, entertainment, pottery, all of this was forced in all of the nations. So they're likened to the leopards, right? Or a leopard, because they swiftly took down the world. And he had four wings of a fowl, right? The four wings of a fowl are the four different regions that Alexander generals had. And the four heads are the four men, those four generals. Right? So your four heads were who? Ptolemy the First, Soter. He was given Egypt and other parts of northern Africa, but primarily Egypt. That's his four wing. That wing is the region he was given, Egypt. Your second head was Seleucus Nicator the First, right? And he was given parts of Mesopotamia. And then you had a third head, Lysimachus. You had a fourth head, Cassander. And they were given, one was given Thrace and parts of Asia Minor, and another one was given Greece or Macedon. Right? So those are your four heads, those four generals, and those are their four regions. Now, out of those four heads came a little horn. You can read about in Daniel 8 chapter. All right, and we'll read that in time to come. But let's go back to Maccabees. And that's why Maccabees is talking about Alexander, the son of Philip, because Alexander, he came out of the Greeks, right? He's the top Greek king on the earth at that time. And if you've been watching the Daniel 11 series, we went extremely in depth into Alexander the Great, or the Greek, or the freak, his generals, and all of that, right? So, check out the Daniel 11 series if you haven't checked it out, right? We've been going deeply into that entire history of the Diadochi or Diadochi. So let's read this again. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim. Kittim is Greece, but you'll also see it being used for Italy as well when you read Daniel 11 chapter. And had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, at the battle of Gaugamela, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth. If you look up the Greek Empire, let's pull up the Greek Empire. You'll see how vast his kingdom was. Let's see. See that? See how vast Alexander's kingdom was. He essentially, let's pull this map up, just annexed the entire kingdom of the Persians and the Medes. See if we can get that. If not, let's go back. You just see it. You can see it plainly here. All right. See that? From around India all the way to Ethiopia. That's his kingdom. Came out of Macedon and defeated many nations. So that's what this is talking about, the first Maccabees, right? He won many strongholds. Battle of Issus, the siege of Tyre, right? He took down many kingdoms, man. Right? The battle of Arbela, or the battle of Gaugamela. Those are some of his chief accomplishments. Verse 3. And went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up, because he conquered the world, known world, in a span of 12 years, from the age of 20 to the age of 32. And he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. Yeah, he put the nations under tribute. So some of the nations Alexander put in hardcore captivity, but a lot of the nations, he didn't put in hardcore slavery. He put them under tribute. So it essentially means, hey, look, we're not going to put chains and yokes on you. You can serve your God. You can practice your customs. You can build your temple, but you have to pay tribute. Another word for tribute is taxes. So anytime you're paying taxes like us, we have been conquered. It shows that we have been conquered and we're under tribute. Esau make his own people pay tribute, man. Technically, the Edomites ain't supposed to pay taxes because this is their land. But these devils are so damn covetous, they make everybody pay tribute because everybody's a slave. Alexander did the same thing. Everybody had to pay tribute. And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. He died of syphilis. Some would say AIDS. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with them from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. And a lot of his men actually grew up with him, man. They were his in his father's army. Alexander's father was Philip II of Macedon, who had a mind to conquer all of the Persians, but he wasn't able to do it. He was assassinated by his bodyguard when you go into the history. And Alexander was set up unexpectedly, and he took a lot of those men with him, you know. But when he died, he divided his kingdom to those 4 different men. That's why I tell you in Daniel, the 7th chapter, it was 4 heads. All right. And they actually fought over his body. They fought over who would be in power. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bear rule, every one in his place. Okay, let's pull up the map. Every one in his place. What does that mean? Let's hold that. All right, let's pull up the map. So, a map of the Diadochi or Diadochi. It just means successors, the men that came after Alexander. Right? And there are many maps, but the map you want, Salaki, let me grab this. The map that you want is the map that has, bear with me. It's the map that does not have Antigonus in it, Salaki. But it is the map that has Cassander, Lysimachus, Seleucus, and Ptolemy. Because some of these maps you'll see, they'll have different men in there, but those men were conquered and they don't fit the prophecy. So let's see if this is a good map. All right, this is a good map right here. All right, this is a good map right here. You see this? Oh boy, Salakia. I want to get right. Still a good map. So you can see the kingdom of Ptolemy in the dark blue on his map legend at the bottom right. Kingdom of Seleucus and the yellow. The kingdom of Lysimachus. He had Thrace and Ionia or Asia Minor. And Cassander had Macedon. So Alexander divided his kingdom among them while he was alive. You see that? This is what the book of First Maccabees is talking about. His servants bear and rule every one in his place. That's their place, those 4 wings of a fowl. Let's go to Daniel, the 8th chapter. Daniel chapter 8 and verse, let's start at 3. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great. The he-goat are the Greeks, right? And their power primarily came out of Philip II of Macedon. Now they came, these men, Philip II, Alexander, they came from a long line of Edomites called the Argeads or the Argead dynasty or the house of Dorian. And these were Edomites that came out of Idumea that rebelled against the kings of Judah and settled up in Argos, which is a part of the Greece. And they ended up going into Macedon and taking down a lot of those darker nations that remained there at that time. And the Romans did the same. Well, the Greeks are just the same thing as the Romans, but those Edomites went into the land of Kittim and Javan and slew the Samnites, the Etruscans, and a lot of those dark nations, the Umbrians. So Alexander and them coming very great really didn't start with Alexander. It started all the way with the Argeads, but chiefly Philip II of Macedon. He took the he-goat and made them the greatest. All right. That's what this means. Therefore, the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken. And their great horn was Alexander the Greek. He pushed the kingdom all the way to India. And for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. See that? So the 4 wings of a fowl or the 4 winds of heaven are the different places that Alexander generals ruled. And the 4 notable ones are those 4 men, right? Those 4 men, Lysimachus, Seleucus, Ptolemy, Salakia, and Ptolemy, Seleucus, Lysimachus, and Cassander, Salakia. right? So they had these 4 men that came up, Daniel 8 and 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land. So out of those 4 generals came up the little horn. This little horn is Antiochus Epiphanes IV. He came up out of Seleucus, right? Now, if you look up the Seleucid family tree, you had Seleucus the First Nicator, right? Antiochus Theos, Antiochus the Great. These are the top men I'm just naming. Then you had Antiochus Epiphanes IV. He came up out. He was a hostage in Rome. And he took the kingdom through deception. He wasn't the rightful heir, but he ended up, working out a deal with the Romans and a lot of heathen. So they ended up giving him the seat of authority. So he's the little horn that you read about in the time of Maccabees, right? Daniel 8 and verse 10. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them, right? So it took down a lot of our forefathers, and we'll read about that in the time of Maccabees. Let's go to Daniel 11, right? I'm not going to go too in depth in Daniel 11 because we're already doing the Daniel 11 breakdown. All right, Daniel chapter 11 and 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, that's Antiochus Epiphanes IV, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. See that? So he wasn't really next in line, but he got the kingdom through deception. All right. So Daniel 8 and Daniel 11, they're both speaking about this little horn or this vile person, Antiochus Epiphanes IV. He is the chief antagonist, chief devil, chief demon you read about in the time of the Maccabees. All right, he came out of the Seleucids, because you got to go into the account in Daniel 11. The Seleucids and the Ptolemies, they had long wars, right? This map right here, it really is about 2 major kings, the king of the south, which are the Ptolemies, and the king of the north, which are the Seleucids. And they fought many battles. And they fought over this region, the Levant or cold Syria, and the land of Canaan. And ultimately, the Ptolemies had it at first, but then the Seleucids took it. Then the Ptolemies came and got it back, and then the Seleucids had it last, man. So they came and they took down the land of Israel. They took down the land of Jerusalem, the land of Judea. That's what the Seleucids did. Antiochus III, he did it. And he treated the Jews relatively well when you go into the history. But Antiochus IV did not. And we'll read about what he did. All right. Daniel chapter, let's go back to 1 Maccabees 1 and 8. Right? 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 8. And his servants bear a rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils was multiplied in the earth. So after Alexander died and those 4 generals were in power, their sons came into power. And the more Edomites that came into power, the more evil you had. Pedestry, pedophilia, pretty much the same thing. Wicked, dabbling with harlots, sex parties, drunkenness, revelry, madness, debauchery, raunchy, wicked, lewd behavior, bro. All of that started with the so-called white man. That's why they take Maccabees out too, because it tells you straight up and down, when a so-called white man came into power, evils were multiplied in the earth. It's not as if evils weren't on the earth, but they were multiplied when Esau came into power. Let's go to Proverbs 29. Yeah, you read about these Greeks, man. About how filthy and how nasty they were, man. How vile they were. Proverbs 29 and 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth. See that? But the righteous shall see their fall. So when you have more Edomites on the earth, you're going to have more sin. All right. I mean, it's plain. Look at the Edomites, man. Look what they're doing. Time would fail me to talk about everything that they have done on the earth, man. And just when you think they can't be any more wicked, they do something. They do something more wicked, man. Just when you think they capped out, like, man, they can't go beyond this, man. They're doing this now. They're marrying animals. They're cloning. They're organ trafficking. They're about to legalize pedophilia. What more can they do? Then you find out there's always more. That's what the Most High said, prepare slaughter for his children. Right? He said, kill them all. Because when they're on the earth, you have nothing but evil, rape, robbery, and murder. So the Most High said, kill them all. Man. Now you can say, well, that's mean. Why would the Most High say that? Well, hold on now. Why not? The Lord tells you when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth. But the righteous shall see their fall. And if we're the righteous, we're going to see the fall of the so-called white man. Right? We're going to see him fall by the ICBM missiles and ultimately the chariots, man. Right? So let's read this again. First Maccabees 1:9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, the son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year at the king of the kingdom of the Greeks. So this guy, he was a hostage at Rome because his father, Antiochus III, he actually lost a battle called the Battle of Magnesia. And at the Battle of Magnesia, war reparations had to be paid because he lost to the Roman Republic. In the Roman Republic, they said, we want hostages. You're doing too much, Antiochus. You're trying to take over Greece. It's our territory. Cough up the dough. Give us your son. Give us your family. Give us Antiochus Epiphanes IV. We want him. So the Romans grabbed him up, man. And that was based off of the Treaty of Apamea. When you look up the Treaty of Apamea, it shows the hostages that Antiochus had to give up. And you can read all that in Daniel 11. That's why you got to tune in to the Daniel 11 series because we cover all this, right? We go all Slovakia. We go all up and down Maccabees, man. But right now we're just touching on the history. So Antiochus came into power. He's that little horn in Daniel 8 chapter. Verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. You see that? It's not just the Edomites. It says in those days went there out wicked men. It's lucky. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men. You always got Jake that want to be like the heathen. It's always a sellout. It's always a coon. There's always one. Well, we want to be like them. Look at that. Wow. We want blonde hair. We want to bleach our skin. We want nose jobs. Right? But when the hell did Jake really start getting nose jobs, man? Look at all of these rappers, man. I saw a picture of Beyonce and Jay-Z that was on social media. She looked like a white woman. These guys be having blonde hair. I hate my body. I hate my skin. And it's not even just physical appearance. You want to do everything that they do, man. You want to go to their schools. You want to learn their system. You want to celebrate their gods. You want to follow their days. You want to do everything. You think not following them gives you sorrow. That goes back to slavery, man. Well, if we don't obey the master, he's going to beat us. We ain't going to have no food. He's going to take this away. He's going to take that away. not knowing that judgment comes from on high, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. So this is a wicked thought to have. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. No. How about since you departed from the Most High, you've had much sorrow, man? Since you stopped obeying the laws and commandments. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 26. So Jake got to get out of that mentality, man. Right? Leviticus chapter 26. What did the Most High say? Right? This is Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 15. And if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments, so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant, I also will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption, and the burning ague that shall consume the eyes and cause sorrow of heart. And ye shall sow your seed in vain, for your enemies shall eat it. So there are punishments: sickness, mental illness, disease, famine, robbery, for breaking the commandments. Here's the point. And I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies. They that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth. See that? They that hate you shall reign over you. So we really departed from the Most High. That's why Esau set up. He's just a tool. He's the axe, the sword. Right? Did not the Most High say in Job? Let's get this precept. Right? This is Job chapter 19 and verse 29. Be ye afraid of the sword, for wrath bringeth the punishment of the sword, that ye may know that there is a judgment. See that? When you bring the Most High to wrath, he's going to bring the punishment of the sword. He's doing that you can know that you're being judged, man. So it's not a matter of you don't follow the heathen, you're going to have sorrow. No, if you don't follow the Most High, you're going to be judged. He's going to bring the punishment of the sword. Now, who's the sword? Esau. Esau's the sword. Get that in Psalm chapter 17. Right? Psalm chapter 17 and 13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So if you provoke the Most High to wrath, he's going to punish you by using the wicked, using the so-called white man. That's plain. All right? That is plain. So let's go back to First Maccabees. First Maccabees 1 and 12. So this device pleased them well. So they were pleased to be like the heathen. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. See that? So certain people say, hey, look, we can do our own thing off of hearsay, and we could talk about what the heathen are doing, and we could do it. Or we can go to the king, and the king can give us grants. He can give us money, loans, so we can start setting this place up, Israel, just like the heathen set up Greece. And there are jakes like that, man. Right? You go into the king to be like, you go into these government jobs, and you're going to these high-end upper echelon offices to try to set up your community after the ordinance of the heathen, man. Okay, we're going to put a church here. Okay, we're going to put a liquor store here. There are certain jakes that are in this thing too, man. There's always a jake involved. Trust and believe. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen. See that? So a place of exercise is a gym. Now remember, the word gym means gymnasium. It means to work out naked. See if we can get that. Right? So that's a heathen custom. Working out naked. Okay, gymnasium. Here's the etymology. Bodily exercise. Let's see. To exercise or train, literally or figuratively. Literally, to train naked. From gymnos, meaning naked. See that? So it's all about working out naked. Now. That's why you go to these gyms And they have half the people up there naked, man. You got old Edomites in the locker room talking naked, you know, with they towel off like like it's a damn party, man. You got Eve in there with no clothes on. Nobody has no clothes on. Now that's a lot wicked as hell. But back in the time of the Greeks, it was naked, wrestling, And Jake started getting into that, man. Jake is into that now. Jake, you're into bodybuilding. Jake, you're into gymnastics. You dominate the Olympics. Usain Bolt, Sha'Carri Richardson, Michael Johnson back in the day. A lot of Jakes dominate these Greek. You carrying the torch, man. See if I can find that. See if we can find one of these. See, carrying torch Olympics. They're gonna give us one. See that? Right? So that's a custom of the Greeks. And they'll make you put that laurel on, that green laurel. Right? Let's type that in. Laurel Greek. Let's see, Olympian. See that? So they'll make you wear this this laurel, which is a Greek crown and custom. And you see a lot of people in the Olympics wear that, man. A lot of Jakes. The basketball teams, the football teams. See that? See that brother right there? These are the customs of the Greeks. And a lot of their paintings are about working out naked. A lot of their sculptures are about naked. Esau is a real sodomite, He's a real full-blown sodomite. Let's see if we can get this. See that? So look at some of their statues, man. This is what Esau is into. This is so-called white man. Who makes it? You know how wicked you got to be to dedicate a statue? Like you're graving it. Not one chance in your mind you say, "Hold on, this is off. Why am I doing?" No, they was getting into it, huh? Look at this, boy lovers. See that? Origins of pedestry, erotic relationships between soldiers, represented by Iliadic heroes Achilles and Patroclus, man. So Achilles was into that. So-called Greek hero, man. Right? So that's your Edom. That's enough of that. That's your Greeks, man. Oh, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta take my clothes off. You got people in the gym. There's a lot of creeps in the gym watching you. A lot of you brothers think men, they just in there looking at the sister. No, they're looking at you, brother. No, they looking at the sister. No, they're watching you, and they go home and they think about you. Now, you may not pay attention, but they at the gym when you at the gym. Well, I didn't think about that. Well, they're thinking about that, brother. Right? And they go home and they think about you at night. So, a lot of these gyms are off, man. Let's read on. First Maccabees 1:15. And made themselves uncircumcised. Let's read 14 again. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have dominion of 2 realms. So he wanted to take down Egypt. right? The Ptolemies. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy. That's part of the Assyrian wars. And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. Right? And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with the great multitude. Slaki, bear with me. All right, let's continue. Right, let's read this again. First Maccabees chapter 1 and 20. And after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with the great multitude. Right, and remember, Antiochus and a lot of these kings, they had wars on two sides. So they had war with the Ptolemies, but remember, the Ptolemies were backed up by the Roman Republic. So Antiochus wanted to go into Egypt another time, but the Romans said no. Right? Let's get that in Daniel 11. And he got vexed, and that led to what he did to the Jews in the time of the Maccabees. Right? Let's get that in Daniel 11. And of course, out of the old hatred. This is Daniel chapter 11 and verse 29. Right? Let's see. All right, Daniel chapter 11. I'll start at 28. Then shall he return into his land with great riches, and his heart shall be against the holy covenant, and he shall do exploits and return to his own land. So he defeated the Egyptians and other nations, and he came back with great riches. And then he thought to subjugate all of the Jews, right, back in Judea. At the time appointed, he shall return and come toward the south, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter. So he wanted to go back and take down more of Egypt, because he only took down chief cities. I think it's, believe, Raphia, Alexandria, but he wanted all of it. Totally annihilate the Ptolemies. But it says, but it shall not be as the former or as the latter, meaning he's not going to be able to have success like he used to, because the Ptolemies were backed up by the Romans. There's a long history of wars called the Macedonian Wars. When you look this up, right, let's pull this up real quick. Right, let's pull up. Let's see if we can get this. The Macedonian Wars. Right? This is part of the history that we have to know. Macedonia, Slovakia. If you want to go deep into these breakdowns and prophecies. Right, so here's the Macedonian Wars. From 214 to 114. Now you can say, well, that's Wikipedia. That's we can validate it with other sources too, right? But this is accurate. The Macedonian Wars, 214 to 148 BC, were a series of wars fought by the Roman Republic and its Greek allies in the Eastern Mediterranean against different major Greek kingdoms. See that? So let's jump down. Roman influence gradually dissolved Macedonian independence and digested it into what was becoming a leading empire. The outcome of the war with the now deteriorating Seleucid Empire was ultimately fatal to it as well, though the growing influence of Parthia and Pontus prevented any additional conflicts between it and Rome. So really, it was about the Romans against the Seleucids. Daniel 11 speaks heavily about the Macedonian Wars or the Roman Seleucid Wars. Now, the Seleucids, they had to fight two fronts. They were fighting the Parthians in the east, and then they were also dealing with the Romans on the west, and they were fighting the Egyptians in the south. So when Antiochus tried to, let's pull up the Seleucid Parthian War. Let's dive into that. Seleucid, see if they got that. Parthian Wars. See this? You got to dive into this. All right, let's jump down. Let's see. I want to get down. Right. Let's jump down. Bear with me. All right. Seleucid power began to weaken after the defeat of Antiochus III at the hands of the Romans at the Battle of Magnesia, which effectively broke Seleucid power, and in particular the Seleucid army. After this defeat, Antiochus began an expedition into Iran, but was killed in Elymais because he tried to rob the temple. All right, you can read about that in Daniel 11. The Arsacids then took power in Parthia and declared their full independence from the Seleucid Empire. In 148 BC, Parthian king Mithridates I invaded Media, which was already in revolt against the Seleucid Empire. In 141 BC, the Parthians captured the major Seleucid city, Seleucia. So they were fighting an entire war with the Parthians. And they were fighting, let's pull that back up, against the Romans. So this was a big deal. So when you read First Maccabees, when it says, it's like in Daniel 11, that Antiochus wanted to go back into Egypt, he couldn't do it because they had too many wars going on. And they couldn't go toe-to-toe with the Romans. That's what verse 30 is talking about. For the ships of Kittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. You see that? See that? So he tried to go to Egypt, but Pompeius Linnaeus, which was a Roman consul out of the Roman Republic, came up against him. And pretty much, for lack of a better term, said, hey, anything you had going on, it stops here. So now legend goes Pompeius Linnaeus drew a circle in the sand around Antiochus Epiphanes IV and said, hey, look, if you step outside this circle, we're going to have problems. Now, he ain't said it like that, but, that's pretty much what he said. Step out that circle if you want to. Step outside if you want to. Now, Antiochus, he stayed inside that circle. And he went back and waged war against us, man. That's the history behind that. Right? Let's pull that up real quick. Let's pull up Pompeius. I'm pronouncing it correctly. Linnaeus. Right? Oh, let's get Pompeius. Let's do this line or let's do the circle, right? Because I'm spelling his name wrong. Circle and sand. Antiochus, right? Pompeius Linnaeus. All right, let's jump down and actually get that. All right, bear with me. Now this is Antiochus. Here it is, right? This is what we want. It reads, in 168 BC, Antiochus led a second attack on Egypt and also sent the fleet to capture Cyprus. Before he reached Alexandria, his path was blocked by a single elderly Roman ambassador named Gaius Pompeius Linnaeus, who delivered a message from the Roman Senate directing Antiochus to withdraw his armies from Egypt and Cyprus. or consider himself in a state of war with the Roman Republic. Now, legend goes that he said, look, I don't want no smoke with the Romans. So him not fighting the Romans, he took a lot of that hatred and wrath out on the Jews, right? He took the wrath out on the Jews. That's why it says he shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Because you have wicked men trying to buy the priesthood from Onias and take over the covenant and take over the temple, and they joined league with Antiochus. So there was a whole lot going on in the time of the early stages of the Maccabees with the Greeks and what they had going on and how it fell out with the Romans. So let's read first Maccabees 1-20 again. And after that, Antiochus had spent Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. Because he did that because the Romans told him, you can't come into Cyprus. Your kingdom stops here. So then he had a league with a lot of those Jews that was already trying to be like the Greeks. And he took his army with the wicked Jews to take down the rest of Israel. Verse 21, and entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. So he took away the menorah, that's your candlestick, the golden altar, the vessels. He robbed us. And you should be upset about that, man. Who the hell is Edom? Might think he could just come and take. Now he's taking from the Most High. He's not robbing essentially us. He's robbing Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushua. That's his candlestick. Those are his vessels. And the table of the showbread and the pouring vessels and the vials and the censers of gold and the veil. So he ripped the veil off, and the crowns and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took also. So, and Esau still got that. You can say, well, where is that at? I didn't see that in the Smithsonian. I didn't see that in the African American Museum. Well, Esau got that somewhere, bro. Some say under the Vatican. Maybe the Rothschilds got it in some mansion. Maybe the Rockefellers got it. But they got that stuff to this day. It didn't just disappear. They still have the veil, the vials, the table. That is the most valuable items on the earth. I don't care if Esau's talking about some egg, man, or some bar of gold or some ruby from the queen. There's nothing more valuable than the holy vessels of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. That's why you don't see those in the museums. You don't see people talking about that. That's top classified. That's above the CIA. That's above the FBI. They don't even know where that stuff is. The top illuministic warlocks, wizards, and kings of the earth, they know where those things are, man. You know? Let's read on. He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels, and he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. So he killed a lot of our brethren, man, our forefathers, our foremothers. Therefore, there was great mourning in Israel and every place where they were, so that the princes and elders mourned. The virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. And rightfully so, man. You got the so-called white man. It's like you're coming in your land, committing a massive genocide, a massive murder. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. Yeah, brothers was dying, cousins, sisters. They were killing babies, raping men, raping women, burning cities down, burning Bibles or the book of the law, the incense. That's what the so-called white man did, man. But yet the so-called white man could be saved. That's what you got Israelites that teach that mess, man. Now you got a lot of Israelites that teach that. Oh, the nations could be saved. Or the so-called white man is not that bad. Not all of them. Just that one, just Antiochus. There's a few good ones. And you got Israelites saying that some of the Edomites are going to make it. You got some Israelite congregations, they accept the Edomites. And they let them sit at their right hand and blow the shofar on the new moon and say the prayers on the Shabbat. You got Edomites licking other Edomites' boots at certain camps, man. Yeah, Esau bowed down, licked the boot. Well, you're an Edomite. I saw one video, a picture. You had a Jake, no, it was an Eve, Slocky. It was an Eve, and she married an Edomite. Now you can say, well, how do you know he was an Edomite? He was an Edomite. What did you do a DNA test? Did you ask? Look, she married this Edomite. And he had fringes on. She must have gave him some fringes. Every so-called white person is going into slavery. Every single one of them. And then they're all going to be exterminated off the face of the earth, man. So just because you marry them, you love them, you want to be like them, you adore them, they're your God, they're all going to go extinct. The Most High is going to get rid of every single one of them, man. And all praises. They're going to serve their slavery. They're going to get their backs beat in. Hey, Antiochus, he's going to be in slavery. And whoever has him as a slave is a blessed man. For causing such devastation on our people, man. His father didn't even do that. Antiochus III didn't even do that. The Ptolemies, as wicked as they were, they didn't even do that. He did what no Edomite has ever done. And he went straight into the temple and robbed everybody. So I'm going to have a hard time looking at these Edomites on a plantation. Now, I'm still, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. But, hey, look, let's read this. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. The land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute into the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with the great multitude. So he sent his chief collector to collect the tribute and the taxes, right? And spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon a city and smote it very sore and destroyed much people of Israel. See that? See the so-called white man? Speaks peaceable words, but all was deceit. All was deceit. Let's go to the book of Job. That's his MO. That's Esau's MO. For all you Jakes that say, well, he's not that bad. He's a nice guy. He gave me a job. He promoted me. He gave me a raise. Right? Job chapter 12 and verse, let's start at, let's see. Job chapter 12 and, boy, man, this whole thing is good. All right, this Job chapter 12 and verse, I believe I want to start at 6. It reads, the tabernacles of robbers prosper. And Esau is a robber. His tabernacles are his different kingdoms that are prospering. England, America, France, Germany, they're prospering. They call them first world countries. And they that provoke the Most High are secure, and to whose hand the Most High bringeth abundantly. So it seems as though they're secure because they're robbing, they're killing, and nothing is happening to them. Nothing is happening to them. They'll speak peaceable words, but all will be deceit. Right? And then they'll overthrow you in their wickedness, man. Let's get this in Proverbs 26 and 25. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. So when he says, hey, good morning, I love you, you're a great guy, he smile every one of them. Every one of them. Don't matter how they treat you at the plantation. If they helped you, if they held the door for you, if they gave you a smile, every one of them, the Lord said, don't believe it. Don't believe it. Why? But there are 7 abominations in his heart. He's thinking about how to kill you, how to overthrow you, how to get you fired at your job, how to deal with your woman, how to steal your land, where you live at, what kind of car you drive. Right? They're always trying to figure something out, man. And they're thinking about how to damn get rid of you, man. That's what the Most High said in verse 26, whose hatred is covered by deceit. You ain't going to see it. He's hiding it. Every one of them, the babies, the toddlers, the children, the adults, the elders, they're all hiding it. Well, nah, my Edomite, you know, he let me keep playing around with this Edomite if you want to, man. Keep playing around with Esau. Well, I let him in my house, and you know, we had dinner. Let an Edomite in your house, man. If I meet a brother that let an Edomite in his house, hey, it's gonna be a deal. It's a big deal. Oh, we're breaking bread. The Lord said, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. And we're the whole congregation. And we're watching this wickedness as we read Maccabees, man. We're watching it, right? We're watching and witnessing. Right? Let's go back to First Maccabees, chapter 1 and 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire and pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. But the women and children took they captive and possessed the cattle. So he spake peaceable words. Next thing you know, he got your baby in slavery. He got your woman captive. He popping your woman, popping your child, selling them. Then builded they, this is what they did, man. Oh, well, that's too much. No, this is what happened. Then builded they the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein a sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. So they took the city of David, put wicked men in there, made it strong so they could vex all of Israel around it. They stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them there, and so they became a sore snare. For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary and an evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. It's like somebody breaking in your house, killing you, your sons, your daughters, your woman, stealing all your so-called furniture, breaking into your safe, your money, taking it, your identity, stealing it all, and put up all of their stuff all in your house, man. That's why Israel left. We can't live here, man. You got wicked jakes walking around with togas on, wicked jakes with laurels in their beard shape, wicked jakes eating pork, working out naked. Israel, what the hell is going on, man? So you have many Israelites, that's a mass exodus. They have to flee out. And they went to different parts of the world. Let's read on. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Moreover, check this out. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And that's what America does. They want all to be one people. The melting pot spirit. Everybody has to speak English. Everybody has to conform to the ways of America. You have to dress like the so-called white man. You have to celebrate his days. You understand? You have to think like him. You have to accept his customs, his traditions, his ways of life. Everybody's a so-called white man now. No matter what you look like and where you came from, everybody's an Edomite. We pulled it up on Thanksgiving. There are videos and pictures of the Moabite man celebrating Thanksgiving. How the hell did that happen? Did the Moabite man carve the turkey? The Arab man, the Ishmaelite, he's setting up his Christmas tree. How did that happen? The Hamite man, what is he doing? The Hamite man is celebrating July 4th. Everybody's one people. You know what that goes back to the time of Genesis, right? This is Genesis chapter 11 and 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. So this was during the time of Nimrod. Because what the Greeks did was nothing new. What America does is nothing new. What the Romans did is nothing new. It has always been the game plan of these nations. Their end game is for everybody to be one people, to serve the spiritual demon Satan, rebel against the Most High, and follow their so-called New World Order. That's actual religion. It's an actual religion, right? I tell you that in First Maccabees, right? So let's read on, and let's see what happened in the time of Nimrod. So they left the land of Cush, and they went east to the land of Shem, because Shem actually had the land of Shinar. Shinar is modern-day Iraq. It was a Shemitic land. You understand? But now you had the Cushites who went there and took them down. All right? And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city. Now they weren't like David. David said, I want to build a city for the Most High. I want to build the Most High temple. I want to gather in stones and greatly stones. I'm going to talk to Hiram of Tyre to bring in the cedars of Lebanon. I'm going to make a pattern of the temple and give it to my son. No, the heathen aren't like that. They said, we're going to build us a city. The hell with the Most High. It's us. It's about us, and it's about man. And we're going to do what we want to do in this city. You think this city they want to build was a city of righteousness? Now you can say, well, how do you know? You wasn't there. I don't have to be there, man. I could travel to any city of men, of the children of men, and it's pedophilia, witchcraft, sorcery, robbery, murder going on in these cities. You go to London, Tokyo, Beijing, Cairo, New Delhi, Dubai, DC. Wherever you go, it's wickedness there. Because these cities are about wealth, theft, and lies. Who do you think that city was, man? Babel. What morals? What type of character was about to be pushed if this thing was to be built? It wasn't just the Tower of Babel. They were going to build an entire city as well. And the tower was going to be the focal point of that entire city of wickedness. Let's read it again. Genesis 11 and 4. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name. So they didn't want to magnify the name. right? They didn't want to say, okay, call all Yahweh Bashmi. We're trying to say we're gonna make us a name. This stuff right, this about us. We don't care about the Most High up there. He can stay up there. We're gonna do us down here. And we're gonna make us a name. It's all about man. It's about that's Satanism, man. The worship of oneself. That's why birthdays are so big into the satanic religion, man. Man always want to make them a name, to be glorified, deified, praised. The Romans would make themselves gods. The Greeks, they would make themselves gods, man. Pharaoh, he was a god. All of these emperors and world leaders, they're always a god. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Right? Meaning before we begin to multiply and multiply and multiply, we need to have a central headquarters to remember man. We need a central idol that we can all come back to and worship. Because it's a few of us now, and we can stay here amongst each other. But once we begin to be scattered abroad and grow, we're going to lose focus about who we are. So we need to let everybody know that this is going to be the headquarters of worship, of man. Tell your sons and their sons after them. We're going to all eat the same thing, serve the same God, follow the same customs. Right? And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. So the Lord sent the angels to scope out what was going on. So this is nothing new, man. This is nothing new. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but does what? But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. That's the so-called white man in America. And he does that chiefly by democracy, his politics, his religion, Christianity, and pluribus unum. That is the motto of America. Let's pull that up. That's on all of its currency. Out of many, one. Yeah. And pluribus unum. Latin, right? Out of many, one. The motto of the United States. What is a motto? A short sentence or phrase chosen as encapsulating the beliefs or ideals guiding an individual, family, or institution. See that? So that's their motto, out of many, one. That goes back to the Babylonians. That's why the Greeks, they were already doing that. Let's read this again. Moreover, 1 Maccabees 1:41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Right? That's your melting pot. Let's pull this up. Right? Melting pot. We don't want. All right, let's see. See that? Melting pot. See this transformer? You got all of the nations. You got the Moabite, you got the Israelite, you got the Ishmaelite, and they're all here, man. That is the melting pot of American society. Now remember, when you have a melting pot, everything loses its originality. When you have a beef stew, you got your steak, you may cut up with your beef, you got your carrots and your potatoes, your broth, right? You may throw something else in there, right? But nevertheless, everything loses its original flavor. You don't longer taste the carrot, man. The carrot tastes like the beef broth. The meat tastes like the onion. Everything loses what it is, man. And it all tastes the same. It's all the same. So all of the nations have lost who they are. Now, the purpose of this was not for the nations to lose who they are. The purpose of the everybody being one people or a pluribus unum is for the Israelites to lose who they are, to get mixed up in all of these nations. Getting mixed up. That's why you got Israelites doing all types of heathen stuff, man. Doing all types of freakism. Now, that was part of their conspiracy, like we read about in Genesis 11. Right? Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, and let's read that. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, and verse 4. It reads, "For whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood, wisdom again preserved it and directed the course of the righteous, and a piece of wood of small value." So it's speaking about how Noah and his household was preserved during the flood. Here's the point of verse 5, because it goes throughout history, right? Sequence of events. "Moreover, the nations and their wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous," which is Abraham, "and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against the tender compassion towards his son." So that was a wicked conspiracy that the nations did, man. Right? And what was their main point? To get the sons of God caught up in that thing. Right? They wanted the sons of God to get caught up in that too. Let's go to Genesis 11. Let's go back to that real quick. Right? That's why the famous saying is, he who doesn't study history is bound to repeat it. Right? So this is Genesis chapter 11 and verse, let's start at, bear with me. Maybe want Genesis. I'll get Genesis 10. That's what I want. We can read it in 11, but let's get it in Genesis 10, because there's a point in here, right? Genesis chapter 10 and verse 24, right? "And Arphaxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber." Now, these are the sons of Shem, the sons of God, right? Shem had 5 sons, right? Shem had Arphaxad, he had Aram, he had Elam, he had Ashur, and he had a 5th son. He had Lud, right? Those are his 5 sons. Now, out of his 5 sons, Arphaxad was the chosen son. Now, Arphaxad had Salah, and Salah begot Eber. Eber is where you get the word Hebrew from, Ibaryath, or Ibar, which means from the past. Now, why is Eber's name Eber, or from the past? Because Eber was born at the time of that major conspiracy. Eber was born during the time of the Tower of Babel. But Eber was set up by his father Salah not to get caught up in that madness, or his sons. That's why Eber means from the past, because he was the only one that was going to hold on to the Hebrew language and the laws and the commandments in the name of the Most High, when the Most High confounded the nations, right, and gave them all their own language. Eber was the only one that held on to the true language. He didn't get caught up in that madness, because it was prophesied by his name that he would do that. Right? Verse 25, it tells you that. "And unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided." You see that? "And his brother's name was Joktan." So he was born when the earth was divided during the time of Babel, because Peleg in the Hebrew, it means division. That's Peleg. So Eber didn't get caught up in that thing. When he had his son Peleg, Peleg didn't get caught up in that. Right now, the earth is divided, and everybody speaks their own language, but they're all coming back as one again. So you can't get caught up in this conspiracy. You can't get caught up in trying to be like the other nations and following the same old mission that the heathen have. We're all should be one people. No, we're not all going to be one people. We're the Israelites, man. We're going to serve Yahweh Bashmi Abashai. We're not going to celebrate your customs. We're not going to follow your gods, man. Why would I want to be like you other nations? Why would I just want to be all one? The hell with y'all, man. We're above. Why would somebody that's above all people want to be like the people that's below them? We're the only people that have a God. We're the only people that got the angels, the chariots, the holy vessels, promises, glory. We're the only people that have covenants from the creator of heaven and earth, man. So why would we want to be like all people, man? But you find out a lot of jakes, man, they have no integrity. And they got caught up in this thing. Right? It's going to tell you that, right? First Maccabees 1:42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed, according to the commandment of the king, like they do now. All the nations say, okay, so-called white man, you're in charge. We're going to, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. Even though they're talking about the Romans, but same spirit, right? Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. So that's a religion. Trying to bring all people into one is a religion. Now you say, well, I don't know what that is. Is it Islam? Is it Christian? No, it's essentially Babylonianism, right? Now that it's just a term, right? That we made up through the spirit, but it's nothing but Babylonianism. That is the number one religion on earth. It's over Islam. It's over Christianity. But Esau won't tell you about this religion, about all people being one. He won't let you know that that's the number one religion. He'll say, well, by the year 2029, Islam will be the number one religion. Christianity is the number one religion. No, the number one religion is Babylonianism, making everybody become one, fulfilling what Nimrod was trying to do. All right. And a lot of Israelites, that's your religion. It's either you serving the Most High or you follow that religion. Now that religion is disguised, or it's under a masquerade of other religions. Because you could be into Islam, but you're still trying to be like the so-called white man. You wearing his suit. There's a lot of people into Islam that put the suit and the tie on, say hello, right? Serve his gods, celebrate his customs, and bow down to the so-called white man. Even though they're into Islam. Even though they're into their own customs, they consent unto Esau. Let's read on. First Maccabees 1:44. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they shall follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Right? Let's jump down. It's lucky for sake of time. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city, meaning everybody had to get down with this religion and offer swine's flesh. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. So the abomination of desolation is where they went into the temple and built the temple to Jupiter and offered swine's flesh on the altar. How wicked is that? Imagine somebody walking in your house with a whole roasted pig, skin the pig alive, or whatever they do to it. Close all of the windows, lock the door, kidnap you, destroy and burn your Bibles, burn your Apocrypha, burn your notes and all of your breakdowns and your flashcards and rip it all out and burn it and take that big swine's flesh, break your dining room table down, cut a hole in the ceiling, build an altar to a freaked out God and put the swine's flesh on the altar. Not a smell, and they come in and they slicing it up and they eating it. Then they bring wicked woman in there and they start popping a woman in your house, man. Running around chasing them, and then the men come in, they start popping the men, and they all passing liquor around, eating swine's flesh. That's the abomination of desolation. Verse 55. And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. So they start burning. Imagine somebody burning your Bible. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, just taking the whole Bible and burning it. And these days are coming back on the earth. And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. So if you got caught with your Bible, you was put to death. Straight up and down. You was put to death. Now let's see what happened. So go to 1 Maccabees 2. Right? 1 Maccabees chapter 2. Right? This is 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. So these are Levites. So when we talk about the Maccabees, it starts with their father Mattathias, and then it goes into his sons. Here's a family tree of, let's see, the Maccabees. It was really the Hasmoneans, right? Now, Mattathias is the father who led the rebellion, right? And then he had his sons, John, Simon, Judas, Eleazar, and Jonathan, right? So when we talk about the Maccabees, Maccabees means hammer, or Maccabeus, it means hammer, right? Now, these men were set up by the Most High God to liberate Israel from the hand of the Greeks. All right, started with Mattathias, then Mattathias passed it to Judas, and then Judas, it went to Jonathan, and then from Jonathan it went to Simon, and from Simon it went to John, and it went on and on and on. Let's see what these men did. Right, 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 2. And he had 5 sons. Joanna called Cadus, Simon called Thasai, Judas, who was called Maccabeus or Maccabeus, Eleazar called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Aphis. And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, "Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory." So he was vexed, man. So let's see what happened. Let's jump down. Verse 17. So after he said that the king, and you got to read this because I'm not going to read the whole chapter word for word, right? You got to get into this thing and read it. So Mattathias already had the sentiment of, hey, look, what the hell is going on here? So while he's in that spirit, the king sent an officer to try to get Mattathias to rebel against the Most High and offer swine's flesh on the altar. Let's see what happened. Then at 1 Maccabees 2 and 17, then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, "Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thine house be in number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. So we say, hey, look, man, why don't you do this thing first? Why don't you offer the swine's flesh first? Why? Because if you do it, everybody going to do it. We're going to make this easy, man. Right? We're going to make this easy. Remember, Esau always wants to corrupt our priesthood. He always wants to take the biggest, strongest man and break him down. That's buck breaking. They do it in the sports. They're making Jake wear dresses, lipstick. It happens all the time. They always want to emasculate and break down the biggest, strongest man, especially the priests, man. That's why all these pastors are sodomites, effeminate. These bishops and deacons of the world eating pork, committing adultery. They have corrupted our direct connection with Yahweh Basham Yahushua. So they had that intention of doing that with Mattathias. And they said, we'll give you gold and gifts and many rewards. And a lot of these pastors take these rewards, man. Right? Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall everyone, so I can fall away everyone from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. That's the mind you have to have. God forbid that I should break the law, that I should go off, that I should sin against the Most High. Everybody else is breaking the commandments. I will not do so. Everybody's getting tempted. Demons are getting them. People are falling out the truth. They're getting sifted out. They're selling their soul. They're becoming slothful. They're going back in the world. They're doing God knows what. God forbid that you should do so. Right? We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left. You can't hearken to the heathen king, that demon tell you to freak off, be slothful, commit adultery, lust. You can't hearken to anybody but the Most High. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Moden, according to the king's commandment. So he gave this great mighty speech. Then you got this heathen. It's really a Jake, but he's a heathen. It's always one Jake. It's always one, man. And it will always be one to the day of the Lord. It's always going to be a sellout. It's always going to be a coon. He said, look, man. Yeah, he did one of these. Yeah. Give me that money, man. I want the bag. All that gold and silver you're talking about, I want it. What's up? You said offer swine's flesh? All right. Slew his pig, got his bloody meat in his hand, his dead pig, probably put an apple in his mouth, right? I'm going to offer this swine's flesh. To hell with you, Mattathias. Probably gave him that look like, you know how Jake is, man. Jake give you that damn cut their eyes at you, man. Probably said some stuff under his breath, man. You know? Probably bumped him. Looked at him up and down. He said, I'm going to offer my swine's flesh. Let's see what happened. Which thing? When Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. So he ran up, probably chopped his head off, man, or thrust him through. Did that, man. He was shaking. You ever been so mad you just, you can't control yourself, man? It's fitting that a Levite, the Levites are like that. Remember, Phineas did that. Phineas took his javelin and thrust it through, man. Cosby and the other Jake, man. I believe he was a Simeonite in Numbers 25. Moses looked this way, he looked that way, and he slew an Egyptian and hit him in the sand out of zeal. Moses said, who's on the Lord's side? In Exodus 32 and 26 on down. And all of the Levites joined themselves into the Lord, and they slew every man his brother. So the Levites are known for having this zeal. Even Levi himself with Simeon, they destroyed an entire city of people, right? For defiling their sister Dinah. So it's in their blood to do that, man. They led the first rebellion, successful rebellion on the New World, man. The Levites did that, the so-called Haitians. So they always had that spirit. All right. Verse 25. Also, the king's commissioner who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and an altar he pulled down. So he killed this wicked Jake, and he killed the Edomite. Man. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of the Most High, like as Phinehas, you see that, did unto Zambri, the son of Salam. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. See that? So he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. So he left it all behind. Left it all. This is the beginning of the wars between the Hasmoneans and the so-called white man and the Greeks. It started with Mattathias. Verse 29. Then many that sought after justice, Slakia. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there. So they left everything they had behind, man. Like it's in the book of Hebrews, willing to suffer affliction with the people of God rather than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, right? Hebrews chapter 11 and 23. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. See, a lot of people get afraid of the king's commandment. You fear man. That's like Esau now telling you, if I see you with your fringes on, I'll kill you. How many Jakes going to cut their fringes off, man? Tuck them in. If I see you with that Bible, you're getting locked up. If I see brothers on the highway, or if I see you Israelites on the streets teaching, harassing people, you're going to jail. A lot of people are afraid of the king's commandment, man. Our forefathers wasn't like that. They don't give a damn about the king's commandment. We care about the Most High's commandment. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He said, I don't care about these titles, man. I don't want to be the prince of Egypt. I don't want to be the guy, man. I don't want riches. I don't want fame. You know how much damn wealth and power came with being called the son of Pharaoh's daughter? You get what you want when you want it. Any woman, any money, power, fame, notoriety. He said, I refuse that. Same thing is going to happen in this life, man. Are you going to accept what comes with being an Israelite? Are you going to refuse being called an American? Are you going to refuse being called an American citizen when it comes to it? When a so-called white man asks you, are you an Israelite? Do you still believe in this truth as an Israelite? What are you going to refuse, man? Wow, I ain't really know nothing about that Israelite. I was just kind of, I'm just trying to figure this thing out. A lot of men are going to do that, man. Then a lot of men are going to refuse that. Hey, the hell with that, man. The hell with you and America, man. If you're going to kill me now. That what thou do is do quickly. Chop my head off, you damn devil. Let's get this thing rolling, man. Right? So certain people, they just refuse to follow the system. They're wholly bent on serving the Most High. And that's a beautiful spirit to have. Verse 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. So what do you want? Do you rather suffer affliction with the people of God? Do you want to sin and enjoy the pleasures that come with it, man? It only lasts for a season. Both of them last for a season. The pleasures of sin and suffering affliction. But which one do you want? Mattathias made up his mind. And the men never would have made up their mind. They denied the gold and riches. They denied the fame that came with sacrifice of swine's flesh, and they suffered affliction for the Most High. That's why First Maccabees 2:29 says, then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Right? Afflictions increased sore upon them. So I want to jump down. Right? This is First Maccabees chapter 2 and 64. So jumping ahead, Mattathias and the men, his brethren, they fought against the Greeks, but now Mattathias is about to give up the ghost. Right? So he's going to pass on the torch, for lack of better terms, to his sons. First Maccabees 2 and 64. Wherefore you, my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory. So that's how we show ourselves men. Not by how many women you get, not by how much money you got, how many cars you can obtain, how much money is in your bank account. That's not how you show yourself a man. How do you show yourself a man? By keeping the law, man. Real men are going to keep the law, because keeping the law teaches you to deny yourself. A real man can deny himself. He don't have to entertain anything that comes his way, man. A real man has integrity. A real man has honor. A real man seeks justice and judgment. That's what real men do, man. And there's a few good men left on the earth, man. And those men are the elect men of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, who love not their lives unto death. So Mattathias says, show yourselves men in behalf of the law, for by it shall you obtain glory. And behold, I know your brother Simon as a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. So he said, listen to Simon. A lot of the battle formations, a lot of the military strategy and advice and how the success happened, it wasn't just Judas. Simon, he was the mastermind behind it. Right? He was the man of counsel. He said, look, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We need this many men. This is the battle formation. We're going to attack from the west. Let's attack them at night. Let's build the city this way. Read what happened when Simon was in power, man. After Judas. So Simon, he was the mastermind behind it all. Judas, he was the power horse, man. He was the valiant, charismatic leader of the people. The battle-hardened, battle-tested, austere king type of man. So you're talking about the A team. People talk about all of these great, successful teams and combinations, the A team, the Fab Five, the Dream Team, and all of this, the Redeem Team, and there was nobody like these brothers. And these was brothers, man. These was brothers. Israelite men who overthrew the greatest kingdom of the known world. And that's why Esau don't want to talk about it, man. Because remember, Esau predicates his history off of the Greeks. The Greeks is the beginning of civilization unto him. Classical Greek culture. The days of Homer, the days of the Iliad, the days of the Odyssey, the days of these great epics, Esau glorifies and teaches. So for him to also teach that a bunch of so-called black men overthrew it all, man, would show the holes and weaknesses and would make him nothing but trash that he is, man. So he has to take that part and remove it all. You never read about Simon and his history lessons. Never read about Judas. Never read about Mattathias. This is actual history, actual men. That's why Esau got this, the church versus the state. That's why they removed the Bibles from the curriculum. And they taught science, natural philosophy, evolution. Back then, everybody used to have to learn the Bible. That was part of the thing, man. Every child that grew up, they went to school. Okay, you took your math. Okay, you took your reading. Okay, you learned how to write. Okay, then you have to learn the Bible. You know? Let's see, when did Bibles become banned in schools? I'm taking out of schools. 1960s. That's what they say, right? 1963. It was probably already fading out by then, but by that time it was over. You see that? See that right there? When did Bibles become to be taken out of school? See that? They used to have to pray in class. It was mandatory. Now, if you pray in class, you're getting arrested, man. Even though the devils, right? But that was a thing. Right? And around the 1960s, it was a lot of societal rebellion, for lack of better terms. That was a lot of the hippie movement, civil rights movement, liberation movement. It was a lot of liberty in the minds of the people. You know, so they said, hold on, we got to take this stuff out, man. We got to be a little more strict because the people are beginning to question. The people are beginning to kind of go against the status quo, man. There's a new breed of people on the earth. The interracial marriage is increasing. The dating is increasing. The LSD, the drugs, the wars, the protests. There's a lot of madness going on. Let's cut down on all of that and let's teach them strictly the law of the land. You see that? So that's why they have to take this stuff out. And they can say, well, look, Naquam, you're wrong. Prove. No, that's what it was. Because otherwise, we all would have knew about the Maccabees. If they had, even if they didn't have the Apocrypha. And so-called schools was segregated, man. So imagine still having a segregated system and you learned in the Bible. Or you learned in the Apocrypha, man. Imagine growing up learning Mattathias. You wouldn't even care about damn Martin Luther King, man. When you, damn, Malcolm X is nobody compared to Mattathias, Judas, Simon, Jonathan. They can't hold a candle to these men. Imagine what that would do to your self-esteem. You wouldn't want to be Superman. These anime characters. Everybody growing up wanted to be Goku. You wanted to be a damn anime character. You wanted to be a celebrity. You wanted to be a Wicked Jake. You want to be everybody. You want to be Spider-Man. You want to be Batman. Oh, you want to be the Flash. You want to be this guy on Halloween. You want to be everybody. But no, there's not one person I could think of growing up that said, I want to be like Mattathias. I want to be like Judas. See him? I want to be like Jonathan. Look at that man. I want to be like Eliezer. I want to be like Onias the third. The seven brethren. Look at those men. They willingly gave their lives for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. See that? So these are the sons, these are the Maccabees, man. That's what this thing is about, man. Right? It's about the glorification of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and our fathers. First Maccabees 1:65. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always, he shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain and fight the battle of the people. Take also unto you all those that observe the law and avenge ye the wrong of your people. So this thing is about vengeance. It's about vengeance. How do we avenge the wrong of our people? By waking up our people, casting down doctrines, prophesying the downfall of these nations. Part of this truth is about vengeance. They go hand in hand. And the vengeance right now is spiritual vengeance. Taking a sword of Yahweh Shem Shai and avenging your nation. Avenging the temple. Avenging your God. Avenging your wives, your sons, and your daughters, your children, your brethren. This thing is about vengeance, man. The wrong done to our people. That's what Mattathias told his sons. Recompense fully the heathen, meaning show him no mercy, and take heed to the commandments of the law. So he blessed them and was gathered to his fathers, and he died in 146th year. And his sons buried him in the sepulchre of his fathers at Modin, and all Israel made great lamentations for him. So Mattathias was a mighty man, and he passed down the wars to his sons, right? Read First Maccabees. Let's go to chapter 3, right? First Maccabees, chapter 3, and verse 1. Then his son Judas, called Maccabeus, rose up in his stead, and all his brethren helped him. And so did all they that held with his father. And they fought with cheerfulness the battle of Israel. So Judas had his father's brothers that was there with him, the old men, and he had young men. And he was the captain of the people. Judas Maccabeus, the top general to ever live. Yeah, they talk about Alexander. They talk about Napoleon. They talk about Julius Caesar. They talk about all these damn devils, man. There's no greater war general than Judas. Now, you can say Joshua, and I wouldn't disagree, right? You can say Joshua. You can say Judas. You can say David. You can say all these mighty men, man. They're all servants of Yahweh Shem Shai. Now, Judas led a massive rebellion against the Greeks. So he got his people great honor and put on a breastplate as a giant and girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles protecting the host with his sword. And I'm led to believe Judas was over, 6'4". I have a hard time believing he was under 6'3". I'm led to believe he was cocky, strong, swole. I'm led to believe he had a big, mighty beard. And they won't make a movie like this, man. All these Jakes, man, they should put their money together and make a Maccabees movie. You put all your money to doing this and freaking off, and hey, look, man. Why don't some of these people make a Maccabees movie, man? That'd be a box office hit. And have them killing a bunch of so-called white people and put that in the movie. They did it with Django. They let Jamie Foxx kill a bunch of Edomites. The Most High made that movie. And hey, look, man. If they made a Maccabees movie, I'm getting front row tickets. Calling out the plantation. And I'm showing up with my Bible and my shofar, man. And a menorah. And the Apocrypha. And we going live. And they better not make an Edomite play Judas. If they make an Edomite play Judas or play it got to be an all Jake cast. All of the Jakes, all of the Maccabees and the Israelites got to be all Jakes. So-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. And then all of the Greeks, they all got to be Edomites. Like straight Edomites. Right? You got to get a Jake to direct it. One of these top Jakes. And that'd be a movie, man. But let's read on. So he got his First Maccabees 2:3-3. So he got his people great honor and put on a breastplate as a giant and girt his warlike harness about him, and he made battles, protecting the host with his sword. And his axe, he was like a lion, and like a lion's whelp, roaring for his prey. For he pursued the wicked and sought them out, and burnt up those that vexed his people. So he was setting people on fire. He was setting people on fire, man. Binding them all up, kill them, burn them. If they saw Judas, man, they were scared to death. Wherefore the wicked shrunk for fear of him. You see that? And all the workers of iniquity were troubled, because salvation prospered in his hand. He grieved also many kings, and made Jacob glad with his acts, and his memorial is blessed forever. Because everybody remembers this, man. Moreover, he went through the cities of Judah, destroying the ungodly out of them, and turning away wrath from Israel, so that he was renowned unto the utmost part of the earth, and he received unto him such as were ready to perish. So everybody knows about Judas, but they act like they don't know about Judas Maccabees. You only talk about Hannibal. Hannibal's the only so-called Jake, and they call him an African anyway. Well, he's the only dark-skinned general that gets some type of praise, man. And they're forced to talk about him because of what he did to the Romans. You can't hide that history when he went through the Alps. So they're forced to talk about him. Nobody's talking about Judas, man. But we're going to talk about Judas because the Most High said his memorial is blessed forever. And it's the Feast of Dedication. He was chopping off heads, arms, legs, burning cities, burning men. Then Apollonius gathered the Gentiles together and a great host out of Samaria to fight against Israel. Which thing, when Judas perceived, he went forth to meet him. So he smote him and slew him, and many also fell down slain, but the rest fled. So he took down one of these top men, Apollonius. Wherefore Judas took their spoils, and Apollonius' sword also. Therewith he fought all his life long. And that's what David did. Remember, David went to Nob and took the sword of Goliath and said, there is none like it. And that was the sword that King David fought with all the days of his life. He fought with the sword of Goliath. Judas took Apollonius' sword, and he fought with it all his life long. And we've taken the sword back from the so-called white man, which is the Bible. And we're fighting with it all our life long, man. Casting down doctrines, destroying demons, and resurrecting the dead of our people. So we're doing the same thing our fathers have done. The same thing our fathers have done. Now this is right, Judas Maccabees, 165 to 162. And then his brother Jonathan, right, was next from 152 to 142. And then Simon came next, 142 to 135. Then he passed it to John Hyrcanus the first. Right now, this is the kingdom of the Hasmoneans. Right? And what it does is this all these different colors, right? The peach, the red, the purple, the dark red. It's showing how the kingdom expanded by these men. So when you look at this map legend, right? By the time of the Maccabees, this is the Judea after the Hasmonean revolt. So after we initially rebelled, this is all we had. This is all we took back. It's what it started with Mattathias and Judas. It started in this little area right here. But then what happened? And here's the expansion under Jonathan. So Jonathan is the dark, little bit darker. So he took Modin, Gezer. He took this region. So he expanded and pushed the kingdom. And then after Jonathan, the dark orange is the kingdom of Simon. So you see what Simon took. So Simon pushed out more. And then Simon's son, John Hyrcanus, is the dark red. So John Hyrcanus was putting in work. Right? And you see how they slowly pushed the so-called white man out more and more and more and more. And then you get to the Aristobulus and Alexander Janai. They was also putting in work. So we eventually took down, we had this whole land. This is called the Hasmonean dynasty, a kingdom ran by the so-called black men. And this is modern history. This is modern history. But nobody wants to talk about it. No scholarly curriculum is talking about the Hasmonean kingdom. This is banned from every form of academia, from your top Ivy League schools to your K through 12 public school. They have been there's been a gag order on the Hasmonean kingdom and what they did to the so-called white men. Massacred them, slew them, destroyed them. The Greeks. Esau can't let you know that. He can't let you know that you took him down with less weapons, less military training. Because then he has to say, well, how did they do this? And you have to say, well, their God was with them. And they can't say that. They can't say, okay, well, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, okay, he was with Mattathias, he was with Judas, he was with Jonathan, he was with Simon, and they destroyed us. They can't put that out. We all know that. The winners write the history, man. They're forgers of lies, physicians of no value. Now, this year Hasmonean kingdom, and they took down many heathen, but then they fell apart. How did they fall? You had a civil war. And you had the Most High fulfill Deuteronomy 28:54 on Israel, and you had two brothers who fought. Then the Romans came and capitalized on it, and they took down all of Judea. Then in 65 BC or so, Pompey, one of the triumvirate with Crassus and Julius Caesar, actually took down Judea in 65 BC. See our kingdom under Salome Alexandra. This is around 67 BC. See that? 65 BC. Now, let's jump down. I'm not going to read this whole thing. So what they did was you had this man named Antipater. One of the descendants of John Hyrcanus set up Antipater the Idumean, which was an Edomite. And he led him in his army. And that's pretty much that tells you what's going to happen next. He led an Edomite. John Hyrcanus II actually did a massive forced conversion on all of the Edomites. He forced them all to follow the law. So Antipater was one of them. And Antipater the Idumean is the great-great-grandfather or the great-grandfather of Herod the Great. You see that? Because when Pompey took down Judea and it became a Roman province, they set up Herod the Great or Antipater, his sons, over Judea as the kings. So I don't have to go further into that. They let Esau in the army, and what more do we have to go into? Right? What more do we have to go into? Let's see this wickedness. Right? After this war in Armenia, Pompey arrived in Syria and received a gift of 500 talents of gold from Aristobulus. So you had Jake giving Pompey all this gold. And Pompey ended up destroying Jerusalem. Huh? Right? Look at this. When Pompey arrived in Jerusalem, he surveyed the city. For he saw the walls were so firm that it would be hard to overcome them, and that the valley before the walls was terrible, and that the temple, which was within that valley, was itself encompassed with a very strong wall, and so much that if the city were taken, that temple would be a second place of refuge for the enemy to retire to. So he was already plotting on the city. Okay, we take the first wall down, we take the second wall down. We take the second wall down, okay, we take these people down. All right. So, and I'm gonna pretty much rest here, right? Because this may be another cold cut, but I'm gonna let brothers dive into this Hasmonean civil war, right? And kind of go back into it and see what happened between Antipater the Idumean, his descendants, and the intermarriage between the Hasmonean dynasty and how the Hasmonean dynasty fell apart, right? But with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh. It is the Feast of Dedication, a week or 8 days long, a feast week to be much remembered, man. Be in mirth, be in gladness, dwell on the acts of our fathers, dwell on the acts of Yahweh Bashmi Rashad, what he has done for our people. But with that, Kwam Yasha. Shalom.